Roll call, please.
Madam Chairman, Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Sherfers. Here. Commissioner Christopher Smith. Here. Commissioner Mark. Commissioner Dallas Smith. Here. Chairman Holmes.
Here.
Commissioner Stickler.
Here.
Madam Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Would please stand for the invocation, Mr. Smith?
Gracious Father, we come at this time giving you all glory, honor, and praise. Father God, we thank you for this day, one that hasn't been. Father God, we ask that you bless us, Father God, each and every one of us. We ask that you be in the midst of this meeting and that we make the good decisions for the EDC board in the city of Port Arthur. I ask it all in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. The pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move to the approval of the minutes, I'd like to introduce to all who have not met him, Mr. Christopher Smith, who is our newest board member. Mr. Smith, would you like to make any comments?
Yes, first and foremost, giving honor and praise to our Lord Jesus Christ.
Your mic down. There you go.
First of all, giving praise and honor to our Lord Jesus Christ. I want to thank the opportunity, thank him for having me the opportunity to be here. It's great to be back in my city. I've been away for about 22 years, lived up in Dallas, came back home back in 2004. And, I'm looking forward to serving on this passionate board that I've been hearing about to see the improvement that we're going to be looking for in our city. I love Port Arthur. That's why I moved back home, and I'm looking forward to being a value-added member to this board. But thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, and welcome. You've received a copy of the minutes from the July 9th board meeting.
Would they be approved as submitted to us?
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes of the July 9th board meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Next, we have presentations. I understand the representative of KT Maintenance will not be with us this month.
That's correct, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. We can move on to communications.
The only communication we have is from the Chamber of Commerce. The membership luncheon, which is August the 28th, going to be at the Civic Center. And in the past, Congressman Weber going to be the guest speaker in the past. If you guys wish to attend, if you guys would contact Joni, we buy single seats. We haven't been buying tables for this thing, unless you guys want a table. Yeah.
I think we'll proceed as previously
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, so those of you who want to be in attendance, if you guys contact Joni, Joni will make reservation for you guys and make sure that everything is taken care of for you.
Thank you. Move on to the non-consent agenda items. Number 1, Mr. Baptiste.
Number one, we have to discuss for possible consideration approval of an economic conditional incentive agreement with K&D Marine LLC doing business as Dustin Gulf Seafood. When K&D came before you guys, they came to you guys as Dustin Seafood. When we started doing the research, it's a subsidiary of K&D Marine, Dustin Seafood. So the contract that Kate put together is the agreement going to be between K&D Marine. Okay, you guys did approve the incentive award of how much, Kate?
$119,500.
And in his application, K&D requested assistance in buying a freezer I think that freezer was about $300,000. We were going to put $119,500 toward that freezer. I have asked and Mr. the principal that I need to see the receipts prior to us dispersing the money for the cost of the refrigerator. The collateral will be, we will have first lien on the building for the $119,000. I think their benchmark is 4 years, Kate, or 3 years?
You have to pay property taxes to the city of Port Arthur for 3 years.
Right.
So the incentive you have in front of you, I apologize, it is still in a draft form just because I am still getting with Mr. Batiste on just a couple of the timelines. But overall, what the incentive states is that K&D Marine, they're expanding their business and locating in Port Arthur, their warehouse facility for their shrimp, and you guys will be providing them a conditional grant loan in the amount of $119,500, which is secured by a deed of trust on the property located on Memorial Boulevard. And Mr. Nguyen did send me all the information on the property. He owns it outright, so you will have a first lien position on it. The incentive is based on capital investment in the city of Port Arthur, and like Mr. Batiste stated, he has to stay at that location within the city for 3 years, and he has to provide the EDC evidence of that by showing that he's paid property taxes to the city. So overall, the agreement is pretty much finalized. I recommend you approving pending legal counsel finalizing. There's just one timeline question I had to ask Mr. Batiste. So other than that, it's pretty much ready to go.
ET must be fine. The only other thing, in addition to the property tax that you got, the city will receive, my understanding is that this facility also produces sales tax. So some sales tax is going to come back to the city. We did not include that as part of the payback. We just include the property tax as the payback. We do have the principal here if you guys want to hear or speak to him or have any questions.
Questions from the board members?
I move we approve it as on recommendation of the attorney.
Do we have a second for approval, or is there?
I second.
Okay. It's been moved and second to approve the incentive agreement with K&D Marine. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposition? Motion carries. Number 2.
Item number 2, Madam Chairman, Commissioner, is to discuss possible consideration of a terms and condition of an economic incentive grant with Industrial Scaffing LLC. I guess the legal name guy, you want to try to explain that to the board?
Mr. Roebuck's group. Some of y'all know Mr. Roebuck at Echo Maintenance. There's some divisions, and as I understand it, the intention here is that the company that they operate is Industrial Scaffolding, intends to construct and operate a facility in the business park. When they first approached Mr. Baptiste and I, we weren't sure which one of the entities they planned on doing, and it wasn't really in I think Mr. Baptiste and I's understanding that they were going to be creating new jobs so much as relocating one of their facilities into the business park to consolidate some business operations. I think since that time, and Floyd's had the more recent conversations, the intention is to locate this facility in the business park and do expand the footprint of their planned operations so that it's not just going to be moving some additional folks into this site, but they actually will be creating some additional jobs. That's why the draft document that you see here has both a proposed incentive for job creation as well as a incentive for capital investment. Now, The one thing that I have not had, or Floyd has had a chance to discuss with Mr. Roebuck and his group, is the manner by which they would want to own the property. Historically, he has had a real estate company that owns most of their sites. So that is not a complete deal killer, but as we may have done before in the business park, if we have a different underlying owner from the person that we would make the incentive with, then we have to see some additional ownership document, lease agreements, and then we build the incentive just a little differently. But we do have a good working knowledge of the incentive request and the pieces involved. So again, I'll let Mr. Baptiste finish it out, but based on the information that he's been provided of about a $2 million capital investment in this estimate of a little over $1 million in the present value of salaries, it looks to me that the incentive would propose is just a little under $500,000. No, sir.
No, they're gonna
This
build
is
buildings.
ground up, brand new
construction.
facility.
Yeah. If you look at the back sheet, what I've done for you guys, I kind of broke down the project, $2 million project. And if you look where it talks about the employment, scaffold builder, foreman, helper, leadman, project manager, and superintendent, those are 27 jobs that you're committing to Port Arthur resident. And based upon those jobs and the average pay, in the 3-year period that we have this contract, he would have to produce $1,331,521 in payroll for Port Arthur resident.
Per year.
No, not per year, over the, yes, per year, that's correct, you're right. Yes, sir. And the other thing, running the numbers, the number came up with 497. In his application, he asked for 300,000. I'm going to recommend 300,000.
And then we'll just proportion it out, or you'll give Kate and I the allocation between job. I'm sure you want to probably put some more on the job creation, but however you want to allocate it, just let us know.
I'm asking you guys to approve so the lawyers go draft an agreement and come back to you guys with.
You came up with the 300,000.
If you look at the deal, okay, what this thing, like where it says scaffold builder, Commissioner Smith? Okay. I looked at $21 an hour for 8 of them a year, times 2080. That's why I came up with the 356,000. You take the number of people time the average wage time the average hour, 280 hours. I think, yeah, I used 280 hours. That's how I come up with the number. And that's I did that for each position because he tells us how many positions Port Arthur resident is going to be. Okay? And that's how we come up with the 1,313,000. That help you?
So the Port Arthur positions that are designated are for scaffold builders.
No, well, it's all A, B, C to F. It's going to be 8 scaffold builders that are going to hire from Port Arthur, 3 foremen, 8 helpers, 6 lead men, 1 project manager, and 1 superintendent. Those are going to all be Port Arthur resident.
Okay, so the 27,
That's 27 people.
27 people.
Right? Yes, sir.
Floyd, could I ask you a question? They haven't purchased the property yet. I mean, they haven't got into that yet. They just want to get this lined up before the purchase of the property, or how did that go?
I think they have came to you guys before with a purchase agreement, or did they? No, this is all in one thing. This is the purchase of the
Oh,
property
okay.
and building of the building.
Oh, that's
Because
everything.
the land and the property, the building is included. That's how it came up to $2
Gotcha.
million. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll, in fact, I'm not sure that we've ordered a survey yet for that tracker done that, I guess Mr. Arsenault and them would need to be contacted to survey that out and come up with a lot and block number will there be a small replat to do that like we did with Clay Development?
Well, I think they're looking at the property west of Morris Carter Drive, and I think that's about 21 acres. They're only looking for about 6. So I'm going to kind of wait to plat it and just go with meets and bounds on this one, guys,
Okay.
until we sell the rest of them.
Okay, thank you.
6 acres.
Okay, sir.
6 acres, yeah. I thought I saw 6 acres somewhere in some
Yes,
of
sir.
the-
And in the block that they're purchasing from, it's about 21 acres. So we normally don't plat it until we sold 2/3 of the property. So we're gonna go with meets and bounds.
And we're going to get Arsenault and them to go ahead and do this, right? Perfect.
Move for approval.
So I approve.
It's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 2. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 3, to ratify the approval of a pipeline location survey. Mr. Baptiste?
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, I went before the council with this thing. At the last council meeting, the council did approve it. It's strictly for a survey. No, yes. This is the property that we are looking at to sell to Standard Alloy. And Standard Alloy had their surveyor go out there, and their survey located a possible gas line. Our survey, there's no easement. Our survey said it could be there. It may not be there. He does not think it was there. But I know he did contact the Texas Railroad Commission.
Commission, yes, sir.
And they said, yes, there were one back in 1990 or something like, but they have no records of it. So Standard Alloy want to make sure that that gas line is not an active gas line, and I think we would want to do that also. So we did order the survey, $5,100 to go out there. It's electronic measurement where these guys, they could penetrate about 6, 7, 8 feet in the ground to see if there's some metal, and they're going to come back to us and tell us if there's some or not. And I'm asking you guys to approve them moving forward with this thing. They probably will start this, if you guys approve this thing, Friday of this week.
I would suggest you do this, but just for a little background for a couple of board members that are a little newer, and you see the study area on the back, and yes, this is an electronic analysis, and the belief is that because it would be a gas line, they're not buried all that deep like you might have with some other utilities and other lines. The interesting part about this is the EDC bought this property some time ago. We've spent a great deal of time with 2 of your tenants, or actually landowners, out there when they were doing their acquisition to ensure that, based on the records that were active, either through the Railroad Commission, which, as you know, has authority over pipelines in Texas, and otherwise, that everything was in what I still refer to as the Santana pipeline corridor. There is a pipeline corridor that goes basically west to east or east to west across this property, in which there are more than one pipeline. That's well shown on all the plats. I have never seen a line that would have been shown in this area. And the only thing, Mr. Baptiste, I find is a little interesting about this is some years ago we had some people survey and do work up north when they were intending to take a large tract of land for a short period of time for one of the LNG projects that ended up not happening. And then we have two other businesses here that had fairly extensive real estate council work and title work done, and none of them have any exceptions to title for any pipeline. So I think it's our supposition this is probably a very old gas pipeline that probably only was finally abandoned, such as it may have been left back in the mid or early 1990s. But I think we are still of the mindset that if they find anything, it probably will be something that was long ago abandoned. And as many of you know, there's lots of pipelines in Southeast Texas. There's a lot of pipelines in Southeast Texas that are no longer active. Very few of those are ever dug up and done away with. They simply, close them off, and unless there's some obligation to the landowner to do so, they don't go out and fill the line or anything else because, quite frankly, at least with some pipelines and the way they're constructed, the strength of the pipeline is a lot stronger than the soil that's around it. So nobody really cared that you removed the pipeline because there was no reason there wouldn't be the degradation to the surface of the property. But we do want to find this out for no other reason than just to clear the deck and be able to move forward with standard alloy. So we do recommend approval of this service agreement.
We not have a company in Port Arthur that does that? I mean, we have to use a company out of Houston?
There's no company in Port Arthur that does
Okay.
that.
Fairly specialized.
We did get
equipment.
3 bids. We did get 3 bids, and I think we had a bid out of Lake Charles was about 97,000. But where?
9,700, yeah.
But no company in Port Arthur.
Okay, I move we approve it.
Question. It's just that tract of land that you're actually going to do the,
It's only where Jade and Thomas Boulevard meet right up in that area. That's the only area that they're going to be testing.
There's a motion on the floor.
Have a second?
One other
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
One other question. In the, I guess, when they close down the line or close it down, do we know that that line was actually flushed? Or can we find that out?
Like I said, Joe actually spoke to the Railroad Commission, and they knew the line was there, but they didn't know if it was. They knew there was a line, but they did not know if it was taken up or what. All they said, we know it's abandoned.
Although, I think the record just indicates they were abandoned. It doesn't have a closeout of what was done with that.
So do we even know if it was even active at one point in time? Because to Kenneth's point, there could be some residual fumes, chemicals, or whatever may be that may be residing in that pipeline. If they did close it off, if they didn't flush it, it's festering.
It was active at one time, but it was abandoned. And I think if we find that it is still there, like Guy said, the next thing we're going to have to do is go dig it up and pull it out.
And not that we would be more concerned, but since it was what we understand was a gas pipeline as opposed to a petroleum byproduct or oil gas land, at least from my understanding is that the procedures for closure are somewhat different than we would have maybe had for a different type of product. But I think we're going to find all that out because, again, we're basing everything on assumptions because Mr. Baptiste and I haven't seen any of the records. We'll let this company go in and find it, locate it. Maybe they'll have to do an excavation as the next phase if we decide if they find something, and we'll go from there.
Any other questions? We have a motion and second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 4, Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, ma'am. Number 4 is to discuss possible consideration of right of entry agreement with Enterprise TE Product Pipeline. Guys, should we remove that one? Because we have not received anything from, they sent us, commissioners, they sent us their right of entry. I sent it to Guy, and Guy said, no, let's use our own. We sent ours to them. We have not heard back from them.
This is the second time in a 2-year period. Kate made some enhancements to the work I did some time ago when they told us they wanted to come across Jade Avenue Business Park before, they want to go out there and survey the line, survey that possible area, that's fine. We don't like theirs because basically it's about a 2-paragraph deal, and it says, oh, by the way, we'll indemnify and hold you harmless for any of our acts of wrongdoing. So the first thing I, of course, asked their representative 2 years ago is, I said, so y'all are going to actually be doing this surveying across the property, UTE? And they went, oh, no, we'll have subs and subs and subs. And I went, we're not getting any insurance, any bonds, any indemnification from any of them, are we? And there's a long pause, and I said, I'll send you our agreement, because our agreement basically does what we would ask anyone crossing your property to do, and that is to be responsible and to take care that they are going to provide the proper insurance and indemnification in case something happens. So, again, I would just say, since I would say this, I would be happy for you to move to approve the right of entry agreement that Kate's provided. That way, when they say is, we want to get started on this, they find, when do we get our agreement back? Because our board's already approved the one we presented, not yours. So off we go. So I would be perfectly happy for you to take the work product that Kate's already done on your behalf and approve it. And that way, if they call us back, we can say is, this is it, and this is what the board's approved. You don't like it, then you can show up in the next board meeting.
We have a motion on that.
Move that we accept the work product as presented by our attorneys.
It's been moved and second to approve the work product presented by our attorneys for the right of entry agreement with the Enterprise TE Products. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, to discuss consideration for the first renewal of the professional service agreement with Germer P. LLC. Mr. Betty.
Yes, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, in the past, we have entered into an annual agreement with Germer Gertz for legal services. Last year, we had a 1 year. We put in here an option to renew for 2 additional 1-year period. This would be the first renewal. We're asking you guys to renew the contract as is.
So move.
It's been moved and second to approve agenda item number 5. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Agenda item number 6.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just say one thing, I want to just always say it is a real honor for Kate and I to have done this. Kate's been working for me for about 5 years, and her first job was because I'm getting older and I'm crankier and I don't want to learn things that are new. And I always want to say this, particularly since we have quite a few new board members since our contract was renewed. And of course, this is quite a few years that we've had the privilege of working with you all. The first thing I asked Kate to do was learn everything there was to know about new market tax credits and what in the world we were going to do about Mr. Baptiste's crazy idea to buy the 501 Proctor building and finance it with the new market tax credit. And we do a lot of financing work for clients, but that was an area of federal financing law that I knew absolutely nothing about. So I still don't, so the subject matter expert, if we do another one of these, is next door to me. But it really has been a real pleasure, as I was telling Mr. Baptiste in his office earlier, all the time that I've had the privilege of working for you all, which is just about the same amount of time that Mr. Baptiste has worked for you all, and for the recent projects that y'all have given us a chance to work on. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you as well. Agenda item number 6, Mr. Baptiste. And I need everybody. I need John. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's good. We good. I'd like to reconvene the meeting of the Port Arthur EDC. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Daryl Anderson, John Sharfus, Christopher Smith, Kenneth Marks, Dallas Smith, Ingrid Holmes, David Stickley.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you. We have one item that was discussed at the executive session, and that is to discuss for possible consideration approval of the 2018-2019 budget.
I move we approve the budget and send it to City Council for their approval.
It's been moved and second to approve the presented budget and move to City Council. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
It's been, oh, wow. It's been moved and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, y'all have a good, but goodbye. Y'all have a good month. And we'll see you on September 10th. 10th.